DGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Wednesday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios right here in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp, back there on the ones and twos. Mr. Hill, how are you?
Doing solid, man. Ready to see my Tigers take on the Tide tonight.
We shall see. Hadn't gone so hot for LSU in Coleman Coliseum. That's where they will tip it off tonight at 6 o'clock. We will break that thing down at the top of the show, but still a ton to get to in the football world as well. We want to talk about the NFL quarterback market in the top of hour number 2. Get a sense from Jeremy how many teams he thinks are actually in that market and where the Saints fit in. Shea Dixon of Go247 at 1:15 to talk transfer portal and recruiting with LSU. Tony Tsoukalis, who covers Alabama, will jump aboard at 12:30 to talk about Nate Oates' crew in Tuscaloosa as LSU gets set to duel the Tide tonight. A little bit of a rivalry is heated up between these two coaches. We touched on it briefly yesterday, but it's real. I have not heard either coach mention it. I heard Will Wade's coach's show Monday and his press conference yesterday. Never a word about it. I watched Nate Oates' press conference yesterday, 6 minutes of about nothing. So essentially nobody kind of pushing the issue on what transpired last year in the SEC tournament when Oates said, get the F out of here to LSU after they won the game. Does it matter? No. Is it going to make anybody play any harder? No. Was it interesting last year to watch it happen? Yeah. And, I mean, have you ever been a part of a team, I think I've asked you this before, where the coach had an axe to grind on the other side and that was made clear, either a position coach, a head coach, a rivalry game, anything like that?
Yeah, not that many I can remember. Like college level, I don't remember Miles or anyone getting after any other coaches. And then high school was nothing. And then Marvin Lewis, that's just not his thing. Like it's just, I can't really point to a situation, but I know for the coaches, especially Coach Wade, that's something you never forget, especially with everything on the line and having a chance to win the SEC tournament. Those are things you remember. Those are things you jot down in the old memory bank. So I'm sure he's going to be having this Tigers team fired up, ready to play tonight.
Look, both teams are going to be fired up and ready to go because both teams really need this game. These are two teams that have significant postseason aspirations, and these are teams whose backs are against the wall a little bit. Not as bad as a bubble team may be, but Alabama has lost 3 in a row for the first time under Nate Oates. They are 2-3 in league play. LSU, of course, lost the game on Saturday and has a big road matchup coming in Knoxville, in a couple of days. So these teams have to stop the bleeding, and tonight is their opportunity to do so. It'll be on Alabama's home floor. I want to kind of get into Alabama, but first I'll toss to you, from the LSU perspective, some things that you're looking for tonight. I would imagine it probably starts with Xavier Pinson. I don't know if I anticipate that he's going to play. Where are you there?
Yeah, if he's out the lineup, then it's going to be really Gaines taking care of the ball. That's going to be the utmost importance tonight. And to me, dealing with their guards, man, this is probably the best group of guards that they played all year. Mm-hmm. When you put Shackelford corner lead, you got Davidson in that group, Ellis in that group. That you're gonna have your hands full. They can score at all 3 levels. They can break you down off the dribble. So I look to our guards and really how they slow them down and break them down, because once they get going, especially if they start stroking some threes, it's going to be a long night.
That's the foundation of the team. We remember this Alabama team last year that gave LSU fits. They started 14 of 18 from 3 in the PMAC and just blew LSU out that night. Went to Coleman Coliseum, handled their business pretty well against LSU in that one. And then, of course, the classic in the SEC Championship game that went down to the buzzer. But John Petty gone. Herb Jones, who was the SEC Player of the Year, gone. And it's a little bit of a different team led by that backcourt. They have some really impressive wins. They smoked Miami early in the season. This is Gonzaga in the poll right now is number 1. Bama beat them. Houston is number 10 in the polls right now. Alabama beat them, but as I mentioned, lost to Missouri, lost to Auburn, lost at Mississippi State. Those 3 losses by a combined 12 points, so they're not getting dusted, but they have lost 3 in a row. Just some Notes on Alabama in terms of their style of play. They're up and down, as you would imagine with NATO. It's 27th in the country in possessions per game. They want to move. They want to get in transition. They want to shoot threes in transition. They want to force the pace, and LSU's just fine playing that game. Offensively, they're 24th in the country in offensive efficiency. They're 10th in the nation in points per game. They are 7th in the country in threes per game. They want to get threes up all the time, and that can be if you fall asleep, like they're just going to shoot it. I threw a fit on Monday about LSU allowing J.D. Note to get that three off late in the game on Saturday without a hand in his face. That's late in the game, but that's their best shooter. Everybody that's on the floor just about for Alabama, save probably Bediako, who's not going to shoot threes. He's 7 feet tall. But everybody else that walks out there for Alabama is at least a threat from the three-point line, and that puts a lot of pressure on their defense.
Yeah, it really does, especially when you start switching everything, and they're going to start getting those one-on-5 switches, and it's going to cause those rotations. You're going to double-team the bigs, and it's going to get some open looks. I think Alabama definitely is going to have their open looks tonight, especially just the way we play defense and the way we rotate. But I think for LSU, you want those looks to be contested looks. You don't want them to just walking into threes, and especially at home when they're on a 3-game losing streak, they're going to be wanting to get back going in the right direction. So I think for this LSU team, just really, really being solid in your rotations and making them take contested threes. They make some of those, it's okay, but you don't want them getting in rhythm and guys getting hot because then it can be a long night. We've seen that before.
Like I said, 7th in the country in threes attempted. This is maybe new to you as you start to cover this league and look at it, but NATO, it's now very well documented that he is an analytics-based guy through and through. And so Alabama has basically an edict that they play by. They are going to shoot three-pointers and layups. That's all they shoot. They do not shoot pull-ups. They don't shoot floaters, runners. That is off limits for them. You get to the rim or you shoot a three. That's it. And it's an interesting way to watch for sure if you're a basketball fan. But for me, as I start to think about how to defend that, and LSU had their struggles with it last year, but that was mainly because they could not cut off dribble penetration. They were getting blown by at the perimeter all the time. They got out of rotation. They were just giving up easy threes, and that's certainly not an issue with this team right now. They are a much better on-ball defensive team. But if you're LSU, step up and take some charges. Like, they're not going to pull up and shoot a 12-footer. They're not going to pull up and shoot a 6-footer. They're going to the rim. So if you can use your help side defense and get in position, take a couple of charges. That's a foul on somebody else. It's a turnover, and they're coming. You don't even have to worry about the threat of a pull-up. It's something that as I kind of looked through the notes and looked through statistics and things and looked back at remembering last year's games with LSU, when they drive, they're going.
Yeah, it is. I think this is right out of the Mike D'Antoni playbook. You just threes and layups. You're not taking anything else. And if you just look at it, if you're an analytics guy, that's probably the most high percentage you can score the most points. Threes are worth more than twos. And if you're taking two, take the most high percentage two you can take. It works if you're hitting threes. But the second those threes stop falling, you can find yourself in a world of trouble, which is why I think they've lost some of the share games they have this season.
See? And my statistics come into bear. Shackelford and Quinterly in these 3-game losing streak. Jaden Shackelford, 6 out of 25 from 3, 24%. Javon Quinterly, 2 of 14 from 3, 14%. They're just not shooting it very well. You're talking about last year, Javon Quinterly shot 43% from the three-point line. This year in SEC play, he's 5 for 30. They're just not making them. Jaden Shackelford, he's had his hot moments. 6 of 8 for 3 against Gonzaga, 5 of 7 from 3 against Houston. They're winning these games. When he goes cold, they lose, and those are the guys that you've got to worry about. You mentioned Davidson, who is really an exciting player. He's a 5-star recruit. He comes off the bench because those two guys ahead of him are starters, but he plays 25 minutes. He plays starter minutes. If there's one guy that LSU can maybe speed up and get out of control that can turn the ball over and create some instant offense from LSU, Davidson's the guy. He turns it over 3 times a game. He's had some games where he turned it over 4 or 5 times. Those veteran guards, Quinterly, Shackelford, they've been around a while, and Shackelford's really just a shooter. He's just out there to shoot. He doesn't assist at all. At least Quinterly averages 3 assists per game. Shackelford has 5 in 5 games in league play. If you can get Davidson to turn it over off the bounce, that's a guy that I want to put some pressure on.
Yeah, he's a really explosive kid. I don't know if you guys get a chance to watch his dunk package. He can get on the rim real quick, so he's looking to attack and get in that paint. He had a huge dunk against Auburn, but I think I agree with you on that front. I think especially if Xavier is playing, I think that's going to only help with those rotations. Just that full court pressure, forcing these guys to have turnovers. They all have turnovers. Quinterly has the most, and then Davidson's right after him. So if you can turn those guys over, it definitely sets you up to have success in this game.
I mentioned Herb Jones and John Petty, no longer on this roster, moved on to the NBA. Those two guys were really good defenders. Now, Petty we remember for his three-point shooting ability, but he was a 3-and-D guy. He's long, he's athletic, he's a really good defender, and Herb Jones was as good a defender as there was in the SEC last year. Alabama's defense has suffered without those two guys out there. They are 201st in the country in defensive efficiency. Missouri scored 92 on them. Auburn scored 81 in Coleman Coliseum. Mississippi State shot 38 free throws on Saturday. That tells me you're getting beat off the bounce and you're getting put in bad situations, and it tells me you're probably giving up offensive rebounds. They got killed on the glass in the second half. But Alabama will get to the backboard, and they will offensive rebound, and that's been a huge deal for LSU. That's one of the things that I want to look at. But for me, if I can point to two stats that I'll be paying attention to, and we'll give a recap of it tomorrow, and I'll have a good indication of how things went. For LSU, the first one is going to be turnovers. Will Wade's harped on it all week. It's not anything new that I've discovered looking at stats, but if you can keep that thing around 12, you'll be in good shape. If it's 19, you're in big trouble. I mean, that's 7 possessions you're giving Alabama. They're probably going to shoot 6 threes. I mean, you just can't give them the ball, let them run, get your defense out of position. They're going to shoot threes in transition. If you can keep the turnovers around 12, that's the first stat I'll look at. The second one, LSU needs to make their free throws. They need to shoot 90+% from the free throw line in this game on the road. I think they will have their opportunities. You've got to make them. Gaines went 1 of 4 on Saturday. He's got to do a better job. He's been good all year. He's got to do a better job than that. It's going to be a close game if LSU is to win it. They've got to make their free throws shoot about 90%. Is there something statistically, game flow-wise, player-wise that you look at and say, that's something that they've got to do well on the road tonight?
Yeah, I think especially in a road environment, you want to limit their opportunities to get second chance points. Yep. And I think that they're going to be shooting a lot of threes, so that means a lot of long rebounds. You want to be securing those rebounds, and a bad three that's an easy fast break opportunity. So they're going to be shooting a lot of threes. So I think for LSU tonight, you said take care of the ball, no turnovers. I'm going to say limit their second chance points because they haven't been shooting the three ball well recently. So you know it's going to be some long rebounds. You want to get those and get out running on the break, get some easy looks.
You just have to hope, if you're an LSU fan, that this continues because there's going to be a game probably in the pretty near future where Bama knocks down 14, 15 threes. That's going to happen at some point here pretty soon because they shoot so many of them and they've got guys that can make them. They're not making them right now. You just have to hope that continues for one more game. And I think mentally, this is something that I talk about all the time when LSU goes on the road in conference games. Obviously, LSU did a terrible job of this in Auburn because they got down 18-1. You have to weather the storm. I mean, there's probably going to be a time where Bama comes down and hits 3 threes in a row. Certainly 2 threes in a row, and that place will get rocking, and they'll get the confidence. You've got to take the ball at that point, slow the game down, and get a good look or get fouled. Like, you cannot go down there, jack up a 3 right there trying to match them, have them sprint back down and get Shackelford open for another 3, and then all of a sudden it's a 9-0 run. Like, you've got to be composed all the time, and that's where Pinson is so important to this team. A senior point guard is important to any team. But when you go on the road, a team that's desperate, they're very capable of long scoring spurts and runs, and LSU has a tendency to go into deep threes. They've got to counter those Alabama surges with some steady, composed basketball.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think for Coach Wade, I think especially just watching how we finish games, especially in tight games where we do have the lead, I think the composure isn't there. I think this is a lackluster. I think just focus down the stretch of these ball games, whether it's turning the ball over, whether it's not moving on offense. The intensity and the pressures always has been there to me on the defensive side. But I think for me, especially in this road environment, I think especially if you have a lead going down this game, it can evaporate real fast. You start turning it over and they start stroking 3. So just having some more focus down the stretch, really taking care of the ball and really just running some more sets and being more active on offense. I think that'll help this team out a ton, especially if Xavier Pinson isn't playing.
Yeah, it's you've got to play composed. I'm trying to look up a stat and I couldn't find it on Twitter. I saw it. Somebody tweeted it out earlier today. LSU's got some kind of remarkably atrocious record in Coleman Coliseum. I don't know what it is. It's something like 9-51 or something ridiculous, and I can't find it on Twitter. But that's something, because I've listened to Matt for so long, because Matt and I are such good friends, and I've paid attention to his show. It's something that he's going to bring up this afternoon, is that LSU has traditionally been terrible in Coleman Coliseum. I don't think it matters the Hill Beans. I don't think it matters what Glenn Davis's record was in Coleman Coliseum, how Trent Johnson's teams fared in Coleman. That, to me, doesn't matter at all. But it is a fact that LSU has gone to Tuscaloosa and has lost far more often than they've won. Tonight, they've got to try to turn that around because you just don't really want to go to Knoxville with the weight of a 2-game losing streak right there on you. If you can win this one, it's going to stand up as a quad 1 win. It'll be another really good one to go with your Tennessee and Kentucky wins at home. And you need to bounce back from a tough loss against Arkansas. So we'll talk about it a little bit more. Tony Tsoukalos is going to join us in 15 minutes to talk about the Alabama side of things and Nate Oates' club that's lost 3 in a row. Won't want to miss that. And then we'll talk NFL QBs, and Shea Dixon will jump aboard at 1:15. We're getting cruising on a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. When we come back, there is a list on ESPN that stinks, and I will tell you about it next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Yo, you can listen to 1045 ESPN.
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know.
Inviting you to join us for Hump Day AFR, presented by Plucker. Sean Salisbury joins us to talk some NFL playoffs. We'll preview LSU's road trip to Alabama. Join us for Wednesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, lists are lists. They're there for discussion and fun, and they don't really mean anything. But sometimes you can look at it and go, well, I don't agree with that, and I think it's stupid. And at that point, I will talk about it on the radio. ESPN came out with its final top 10 rookies of the 2021 season. Jeff Legwold put it together, ESPN senior writer. It's up there on the site right now, so I clicked on it and said, let me just give a look to this. And I have no issue with the number one rookie on that list, Micah Parsons, who was brilliant for the Cowboys, just a sack and a half away from Javon Curse's rookie record. Plus, he did some like coverage stuff. I mean, he was as good a defensive player as there was in the NFL this year, quite honestly. I mean, you could put it with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and all these kind of. He's as impactful as anybody right now.
Yeah, he's a difference maker. I think for me, just the versatility that you saw the Dallas Cowboys use him. He's covering receivers down the sideline on rail routes. He's blitzing off the edge. He's blitzing from the linebacker position. He's playing, that stack backer position. He plays everywhere on that defense, and you notice him when you cut on a Cowboys game. He's wreaking havoc. Just that closing speed that he gets to the ball carriers and to the quarterback, I think it's bar none in the league right now. So, yeah, I definitely have to agree with the number one. It's definitely Micah Parsons.
Well, here's where I got beef. Matt Jones at number 2. Down the stretch, he was like pretty bad. I don't have another way to say it. Now, he's a rookie. I don't expect him to be the MVP, but there's plenty of guys on this list, at least 3, that I would say were better than Mac Jones season long. I think we all got lulled into this Mac Jones, propaganda tour in the middle of October and November, and then all of a sudden he started playing pretty poorly. To me, yeah. I think he should be on the list, but 2, not for me.
Yeah, it's a little rich for my blood. 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. It's okay, especially for a rookie, but I think there's a lot of other guys I would point to. I think maybe 5 or 6 I'm thinking. And I'm starting with that. To me, my 2 is my boy Jamar Chase. I think you got to go Mr. Chase on the case with the number 2 slot. Just the impact he had. He put up all-pro numbers. Mac Jones is nowhere near putting up anywhere remotely close to all-pro numbers and being a Pro Bowl guy in his rookie season. So, Mac Jones, he had a good year for a rookie, especially with expectations and following the Tom Brady and all that great stuff. But not number 2 for me.
I mean, I would put Jalen Waddle ahead of Mac Jones. I mean, he had 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. They had a run there where he had at least 8 catches in 6 games in a row. It's not like his 2 quarterbacks that were playing were all world, and I thought he was great. I feel like I'm like piling on here. It's not that I think Mac Jones did a terrible job. It's just that, I mean, there's no way he's better than Jamar Chase as a rookie. Jamar Chase was smashing records as a rookie. He scored 13 touchdowns. He had 81 catches, 1,400 yards, most ever as a rookie. Mac Jones completed 60% of his throws and threw 13 picks and had multiple picks in 3 of his last 4 games in crunch time. 2? No.
Yeah, that's a little high for me. To me, I would go Kyle Pitts before him.
The knock on Pitts is he only scored 1 touchdown. That's the issue. Now, that's not necessarily his fault, but I mean, he had 1,000 yards at a tight end, so that's a good start. But he only had 1 touchdown.
Yeah, that's something is up with Matty Ice, because I remember that season people were piling on Julio because he only had 3 touchdown receptions, but he had like 1,600 yards. We gotta fix that, Matty Ice. What are we doing? Like, gotta get your guys in the end zone. But to me, still, I would still go just impact, just watching the game. Who do you fear most? Who do you have to game plan for most? I would probably go Kyle Pitts in the top 5, and then to me, Surtain, the corner from Bama. He had an amazing year up in Denver. So there's some guys I would definitely put in front of Mac Jones. I think he deserves to be on the list at some point, but I would definitely not have him in my top 5.
Surtain, 4 picks, missed the last game of the year, and it's I'm struggling sometimes when you look at the numbers to wonder, especially the quarterbacks more so than anybody else, but to deal with that 17th game. So sometimes when players miss a game, it almost makes me feel better that I can re-equate it back to 16 games. Because didn't Jamar miss one for COVID? Yep. I think so. It's like, okay, well then his numbers actually do stand up. That's 13 touchdowns in 16 games as opposed to the 17th. I mean, especially if you're a quarterback and you can add, I mean, if you just go nuts in a game and you can add a 385-yard total to your season, it changes like everything about the way you look at it. We're going to have to readjust the way we think about things because of the extra game. But when guys miss a game, it makes things a little bit easier. We were yelling and screaming, or no, I shouldn't say we. You weren't around then yet, but I was yelling and screaming that the Bengals had to take Penei Sewell. That was the guy, had to take him. It turns out, based on grades for Pro Football Focus, Rashawn Slater was actually the best offensive lineman in the class. He was the 13th pick to the Chargers, was protecting Justin Herbert, and had better than a 90% block rate on pass blocking down. So even trying to say that Penei Sewell was the pick, that wasn't even the right offensive lineman to take at that point. It was Slater, but it turns out that Chase was probably a pretty good pick for the Bengals.
Yeah, that definitely worked out. I was pounding the table for that pick too. I definitely love that pick. I think you make your quarterback happy. And you see Miami try to follow suit with the Waddle situation, and he actually had a great year going back with his college quarterback and Tua. But that Chase pick, man, he's a difference maker. And to me, they still scrubbed him from the All-Pro team. He should have been an All-Pro. They gave him the Pro Bowl and All-Rookie and all that stuff. But to me, he had an All-Pro type season. I think he did play 16 games, but the last game of the season, they were resting anyway. They got him his 13 yards, and they set him down. So he could have really, really did some damage this season. But yeah, that Chase pick, I see him and Burrow hooking up for the next decade probably. That's going to be a great to watch.
I'll give you the list, and I'll give you the one guy that I would have put in this top 10. Micah Parsons, number 1. Mac Jones, number 2. Rashawn Slater, number 3 of the Chargers. Creed Humphrey, center for the Chiefs, number 4. Jamar at 5. Number 6, Kyle Pitts. Number 7, Pat Surtain. Number 8, Jalen Waddle. Number 9, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah of the Cleveland Browns, inside linebacker. And Javon Holland, Miami safety, at number 10. I would have had somehow, some way, Najee Harris on this list because he 381 touches, led the league in running backs. That's being as durable as possible on a team that was fairly limited offensively. Ben was back there. He was kind of a shell of himself. They had to ride Najee Harris more than anybody in the league. One of 2 backs in the league to carry it 300 times. Just his durability as well as the production for me would have had him on this list.
Yeah, it was impressive. But I think if you watch that Steelers offense, it's really not that explosive, man. It's really just, Najee Harris in a cloud of dust, and he better make something shake because Big Ben just really struggled to push the ball down the field, and they just put so much pressure on him as a catcher out of the backfield and as a rusher to really make hay and to find a way to have 1,200 yards. I know it was in 17 games, but that's impressive, man. I want to put him in the top 10, but I'm trying to see who I would take out.
I can't tell you. I watched a lot of the Dolphins secondary play, so I would probably yank number 10 there and Javon Holland.
Yeah, you could probably go there. I mean, yeah, Najee probably had the closest. So I think his yards per carry is probably what hurt him. If his yards per carry was a little higher, I think you definitely see him in the top 10. No questions asked. But doing what he did this season, I think it's definitely impressive, especially just watching the Steelers O-line. My boy Trey Turner's up there, but
yep.
Not much going on up there.
And the most underutilized of this entire list and extras, Devontae Smith. The Eagles threw the ball as few times as anybody in the league, and they drafted a wide receiver in the first round who they're not going to be able to use because their quarterback's not very good. So that will bring us to our top of the hour discussion, which is the NFL QB market. I've got a list of, I think, the teams that are in it, maybe where the Saints fall because Mel Kiper's new mock draft is out, and we will start talking about that at the top of hour number 2. But we will take a timeout right now. When we come back, Tony Tsoukalos talking Alabama basketball. What does Nate Oates' squad have? What have they done so poorly to lose 3 in a row? And what can we expect from them tonight in Coleman Coliseum? That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Auctioner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
By Bet Rivers, Wednesday night edition. We're live at Clark Crane, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on US 61 in St. Francisville. LSU and Bama, companion in-game wagering. Game time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field here on a Wednesday. Go to the phone lines now. Tony Tsoukalis covers Alabama for Bama Central, part of the SI Network. Good enough to join me on the pregame show the last couple of years and joins us now. Tony, Happy New Year. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Doing very well. Before we get to basketball, just kind of wanted to get a thumbnail thought from you on the national championship game. Surprise, not, and kind of what the fallout's been in Tuscaloosa after that.
I think when you look at the score and just in general, it's a surprising score because I think it doesn't look as close. But from what I saw from the game, I wasn't too surprised. I mean, look, when you look at Alabama's offense without Jamison Williams, without John Mechie. It's not the same. It's definitely not the same that they played against Georgia in the SEC championship game. And also, you got to give Georgia some credit. I think that they've been the best team all year, barring that SEC championship game. And I think they just returned to the form that, we had seen from them throughout the whole year. So this Georgia football team is one of the, best defenses we've seen in a while. They really showed up in the championship game. So no, I'm not super surprised just because of the opponent and then of the circumstances from Alabama.
Certainly Alabama football SEC champions, Alabama basketball reigning SEC tournament champions as well. Nate Oates' program been really, really solid the last couple of years. However, lost 3 in a row entering this one in Coleman Coliseum. What's gone wrong for the Tide the last week and a half?
Jeez, look, at this time around last year, December 11th, right? They had just beaten Houston as back-to-back ranked wins. They moved into number 6 in the country, and now they're out of the polls. They've lost 5 of 8 since then. When you look at the problems on this team, it's got to be rebounding. I think a lot of it's just effort, which is disappointing from a Nate Oates side because he preaches his whole mantra is blue collar points and really having that kind of grind out kind of basketball. So I'm sure it's very frustrating for him for effort to be such a problem with his team. And then, as much as Alabama shoots from beyond the arc, they just have been pretty cold. And Nate Oates will tell you that comes with effort. If you're doing all the defensive stuff, all the effort thing, then the shooting comes. That's kind of been his preaching point at Alabama. So if I'm circling 2 things right now, it's rebounding and effort. And even those 2 things kind of tie together.
With Shackelford and Quinterly shooting a low percentage from the floor, both under 45%, do you think they can win this game tonight with them not shooting that well from the field?
Oh, they're definitely going to need a better performance from those 2. If Alabama plays the way that they've been playing, LSU's going to win. Now, it's tough to get SEC road wins, and so I think it really helps Alabama that this game's in Coleman. Look, Alabama lost to a Missouri team. It's going to look like a really bad loss at the end of the year, but that game was in Missouri. Alabama had no business losing that game. It's just hard to win games on the road in the SEC. So that's why I think Alabama has a shot. But if those 2 shoot the way that they've been shooting, I don't see them beating LSU. You'd have to think that those guys are talented enough to turn things around sooner than later. And I would expect, if not tonight, then soon that one of those guys would turn things around.
Yeah, that's the fear if you're an LSU fan, is that those guys are not going to go cold for 3 months straight. You just got to hope if you're in purple and gold that tonight is not the night that they break through. Obviously, that's a crowded backcourt with some really, really good players there, as well as Ellis and J.D. Davidson will come off the bench. Tell us about the young freshman.
J.D. Davidson's a really athletic player, most talented person on the team. He plays like a freshman, though, sometimes. He'll have a really good game, and then he'll really struggle. I think that's part of the risk you have of, bringing in these high, building your roster. Alabama by no means has built their roster only on freshmen, but that's what you're going to get with these talented freshmen. They still are in their first year of college basketball, so they're going to be streaky. I think he's a guy, when he puts it all together, he could be a lottery pick. Just the sheer athleticism, he needs to work on his shot a little bit more. But as far as a guy that, can kind of get you, he's a guy that's going to get you 5 across the board. So 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's that kind of guy. And I think, you could even probably see more of the, 10-10-7 kind of games as well from him. And so I think, just like Jaden Shackelford and Javon Quinterly, once he puts it together, this Alabama roster is really loaded. It could be a great team. Everyone was expecting this to be an elite team. I'm not sure it's going to ever reach that expectations. I don't know. They're so unpredictable. They're not showing the signs of a team that would do that, but they have the talent to be one of those elite teams. And so they're kind of like one of the biggest sleeping giants, if not in the SEC, if not in the nation, at least in the SEC.
Tony Tsoukalos covers Alabama for Bama Central, part of the SI Network. Tony, if you ask an LSU fan about last year's Alabama team, they'll say, they just shoot the lights out from 3 because they came here and made 14 out of 18 in the first half. But really, the defense was a huge pillar of that Alabama team last year that made that run in the NCAA tournament. Now look up, Missouri scores 92, Auburn's in the 80s, State shot 38 free throws. They're 201st in the country in defensive efficiency. What's been the issue there?
Look, it's no surprise that Herb Jones is starting for the Pelicans now. Every one of Alabama's problems this season, you can tie back to something that Herb Jones would have fixed for them. Whether it's the defense, whether it's the rebounding, whether it's effort, he was such the glue guy. And I think just they haven't found a guy like him yet to kind of take charge of the defense and really set that tone. They've got players that are able to do it. Keon Ellis is one of the best two-way players in the nation. He just has to be more consistent. Same with J.D. Davison. I mean, all that athleticism can really, he could be a great defensive player as well. Charles Bediako is a guy that, needs to establish more presence down low. So they've got the pieces. Once again, they just don't really have that. I feel like Alabama is just needs to be lit with a match, and then they're just going to explode. But it just all boils down to the same. They're kind of a mystery right now of why the defense hasn't been there, and it's frustrating from an Alabama perspective because they have everything that you would need to have a good defense.
Speaking of defense, LSU basketball, they're number 2 in the country in steals right now. How do you think Coach Oates attacks this full court pressure and all the switching that they're going to implement tonight?
They're just going to have to be disciplined, but I think that's going to be key. I mean, we talked about J.D. Davis, and I would, I'd put a lot of pressure on him. The same with Javon Quinterly. I mean, these are guys that, have had big turnover games this season. And while they're good ball handlers and they're great point guards, they have made mistakes in the past. So if you got a good LSU defense, I expect it to put a lot of pressure. I really, there's not much NATO can do, and that is not going to. You can't really change your approach that much. You just have to be more sound and more disciplined, and really take advantage of your possessions. This is going to be a tough game, and this is a crucial game for Alabama. They can't lose it off of something like turnovers, especially not at home where they'll have the environment on their side. Turnovers and free throws are the two things that, if you're going to lose this game, lose it because you can't shoot or because you're still cold or something. Don't lose it on something like turnovers or free throws or something that you should be able to handle at home.
Tony Tsoukalas covers Alabama. One more, Tony. We appreciate some time. Obviously, last year, Southeastern Conference Championship game goes down to the wire. Nate Oates gives get the F out of here. That hasn't been brought up once down here, which I thought it might. Has that played at all over there? Is there any inclination of how Nate Oates feels about this LSU program?
I mean, I think the people over here in Alabama are more worried about their pets' heads falling off with with the way the basketball team's going. Everything's going wrong. That hasn't been brought up. But, to be honest with you, the SEC title at this point seems like 3 years ago, just in the current circumstances. But I see this being a rivalry. You know what I'm saying? I do think Alabama is going to turn this around, and LSU is obviously always a contender as well. And so it's nice to see those kind of rivalries from a media perspective. I kind of hope it becomes a thing with LSU, and they play with a chip on their shoulder, and Alabama comes out, and we get some of the good rivalries games that we've had on the football field. I'd love to see that again on the basketball court. I think that would be really fun.
Big game for both teams tonight. Tigers coming off a tough loss at home with the trip to Knoxville coming up, and Alabama obviously having lost 3 in a row. Tony, we appreciate some time.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Tony Tsoukalas, Bama Central, covers the Tide for the SI Network. We'll see if anything materializes tonight. There's a lot of people in college basketball that don't care for Will Wade. Nate Oates and Will Wade are similarly wired in that they are very intense, very competitive, have incredible work ethics. They recruit very well, and they've got a lot of pride and intensity, and that spilled over last year a couple times. And so we'll see if tonight brings any of that out. Certainly hasn't in the media yet, but it would not be the first time.
Yeah, it would not be the first time. And I think for LSU, especially if Xavier's not at full tilt, you caught Alabama at the perfect time when they have not been raining down threes and their guards have not been shooting the ball well. So hopefully they can continue their shooting woes tonight. If y'all want to pick it up and help Arnett for the rest of the season, that's on y'all. But tonight, I just hope Alabama does not get that three ball falling, especially for LSU being on the road. I think that's going to be too much to overcome.
We shall see. LSU and Alabama, 6 o'clock tonight from Coleman Coliseum. It's on ESPN2. Carl Ravitch and Jimmy Dykes will be on the call. We'll come back and remember a big-time presence in the world of college football who passed away earlier today. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
What does your 2020 wellness plan look like? If you're unsure, let Sync Wellness give you the answers. They've got a science-based, customized approach. They'll curate a supplement and wellness plan specifically based on your nutrition deficiencies, your genetic blueprint, and your health goals. Angie Huff over there is the director of pharmacy and is an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to wellness. Best of all, they make sure it is super convenient by providing all your supplements in a conveniently closed, dosed-backed pack delivered right to your door in a Sync pack.
Yeah, Sync has all the professional products to help you stay well and keep your immune system strong. One of their most popular items is their pharmacist-curated immune pack, conveniently packaged with vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, and the doses you need to stay well. They also have their immune support IV hydration pack with vitamin C, vitamin B, and zinc. And if you're feeling too ill to walk into their suite, the registered nurses will administer your IV curbside.
There's so much great stuff going on over at Sync Wellness. We really encourage you to stop by their store. They will talk you through everything, whether it's a supplement pack for you, an IV hydration. They'll talk you through all of it. If you want to check it out before you go in, go to synkwellness.com, synkwellness.com.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
GMFS, changing lives. Did the hurricane change your life in a negative way? Were you forced to move? Need a new fence? Need to fix a hole in your roof, but the deductible is holding you back? Call me, Will Goodwin, at GMFS Mortgage, and let me help you get the money you need and take advantage.
Mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information.
T-Town. T-Bob and Jake counting their big winnings. Plus the latest from the LSU transfer portal off the bench. 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Faithful have followed the boys
boys of Rocky Top, leaving behind the friendly confines of Neyland Stadium in exchange for Death Valley. The final moments, the final preparation. Prime time of the Delta.
Dun time, you know what I mean? ESPN, baby,
It's an SEC showdown on the Bayou with the 11th ranked Tennessee Volunteers come calling on the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, and welcome to Saturday primetime college football here on ESPN once again. Tonight, from Baton Rouge, a place we'd dearly love to come.
That is Ron Franklin setting the scene as only he could. That is the soundtrack of my youth there, Jeremy. That is primetime ESPN football around the turn of the century, and Ron Franklin was right there as the voice of it and certainly spent a lot of unbelievable nights in Tiger Stadium. Ron Franklin passed away yesterday, and just hearing that, I was watching that at my house. I was 12 years old, and that was the LSU Tennessee game from 2000. We relived it back on Throwback Thursday a couple months ago, and he was just the voice of college football on ESPN. And I think when you get into broadcasting, to become synonymous with something like that is such. That's the top of the mountain, and he was certainly awesome at it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be remembered, one of the best to do it. Just meant so much for the college football, and just him making you feel like you were there, like you felt like you were in those environments. You were, you could feel just the energy, the passion, just the pageantry, all that was taking place in some of those really high, intense college football battles. And his voice was that soothing factor for you to really feel like you're right there in the mix with it. So he's definitely going to be missed, but he definitely had an amazing journalist career.
And everybody's got a little bit of a different style. And sometimes people yell, and that's Gus Johnson's famous for yelling and screaming. Chris Fowler really raises his voice when big things happen. And I think Ron Franklin had an ability to kind of just describe the play and not necessarily take his tone of voice to the next level, but let the energy of the moment take its place, and certainly did that in 2000. And I've got a couple of clips here from the 1997 Florida game, the night LSU knocked off number 1. In the first, it's a tie game in the fourth quarter, and Cedric Donaldson steps in front of a pass and takes it back to the house.
To be congratulated on a great plan tonight. Well, the Bandit package in the ball game. There's the pressure, and the pass was picked off. That's Donaldson, and he will score.
That's one of my favorite calls just from him. It's always played in my mind. Intercepted. It's Donaldson, and he will score. And that night was obviously one of the most famous in the history of LSU football, and he was on the call for that one. And this is what happened at the end of that one when LSU had knocked off Florida, and Franklin kind of set the scene.
It is official. The LSU Tigers, a 15-point underdog, has knocked off the number 1 ranked Gators from the University of Florida by a score of 28-21.
And he was just it's nostalgic. I think there's so many people listening that it was Ron Franklin, it was Mike Gottfried, and it was Adrian Karsten, and they were the ones that did the late game. And there are now so many people that what's better than the CBS music? And it was Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson for so very long, and now Brad Nessler's in that seat, and you've got the soundtrack that goes with your emotions that reach a fever pitch on Saturdays when those things happen. And at that time in LSU football, your bigger games were generally speaking going to be night games. The LSU wasn't really a factor on CBS at that point when they got the contract. Now into the Saban era, you got the Georgia game in 2003, and now every time LSU's got a big one, it's on CBS at 2:30 unless they flex it to the night game. But at that point, when it was Mississippi State overtime 2000, Tennessee overtime 2000, Florida in 97, all those games, it was always Ron Franklin who was on the call. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember that. I'm a little bit older than you, but that is right in my formative years, listening to him every Saturday night.
Yeah, that's right before my formative years. I wasn't really too dialed into the telecast at the time and just listening to that. But I definitely remember him. I definitely remember just some of the things he did, and especially going back and watching him in those old LSU games and checking out YouTube and doing all those great things. His voice was always there, just really consistent in everything he did, and just really just bringing that nostalgia, like you said, to really, remember where you were, what you were doing, and how you felt at those times. He played a big role in that.
And Emil in the Bayou 4 chat says the ESPN's old music score was great too. The da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na. And that's the kind of stuff that, you got the March Madness theme song, you got the SEC on CBS, but that ESPN score, even NBA on NBC, that one that they don't play anymore was so great. And the fear is that we're losing the CBS theme music with CBS losing the SEC game of the week here coming up. And all that kind of stuff, in the end, does it really matter? No, but does it give you the warm and fuzzies when you think about it? Certainly, and Ron Franklin was a huge part of that. Again, he passed away last night. A huge presence in the world of college football has left us. So that'll wrap up hour number 1 here on Hunt and Hill. If you missed it, you can certainly catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, or on YouTube. Tony Tsoukalas came on to give us a look at the Alabama Crimson Tide that LSU will see tonight. We previewed the game at the top of the show between those two. We talked about the ESPN's list of the top 10 rookies. Where's Jamar Chase? 5. That's a fraud. Revisit that at another time. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, we're going to talk about the NFL's quarterback market. How many teams are in it? How serious are they? And where are the Saints? And then Mel Kiper's mock draft that came out. What does he have the Saints doing in the first round? Shea Dixon talking recruiting at 1:15. And then I've got some thoughts on the quarterbacks that are going to play this weekend and where we may be headed in the NFL in this era. Come back with us for hour number 2. It's a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
Brock. Savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
You guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they are the place for you, as well as a flu shot starting to creep up here during flu season. So if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new 2021 Ford F-150. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Offices in Baton Rouge.
1, 2, 3.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field on a Wednesday, Hunt and Hill. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. QB market. The Saints are a player here, and that has not been the case for a very, very long time. Certainly was the case a little bit last year with the decision that had to be made, and they went into the season with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill and added Trevor Siemian, drafted Ian Book, and we know how that worked out. So the Saints are back in this, and when you do that, as we talked about with LSU's coaching search, you join a pool, and you've got to compete with the people in that pool. I've got a total of 3 NFL teams that I'm 100% certain are in the quarterback market.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 3 more that I think are likely in the quarterback market. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on top of that that have a chance to be in. So let me start with the 3 that I'm 100% sure are in, and you tell me where I'm wrong or right. The Saints are 100% in. That is beyond a shadow of a doubt. Jameis Winston's contract is up. They've either got to sign him, which they're going to have to compete for people with. They got to figure quarterback out. They're in. The Steelers are in. Ben Roethlisberger is gone. I don't see the heir apparent on that roster. Mason Rudolph, to me, ain't it. So the Steelers, to me, are in the quarterback market. I think Washington is 100% in the quarterback market. I just can't imagine Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, and Garrett Gilbert are your 3 guys next year. That I just can't imagine that being the case. So, first of all, do you agree that all 3 of those teams are 100% in the market?
I don't know about the Steelers. I know they love Mason Rudolph, and I think for them, just what are you gonna do? Are you gonna trade some first round picks? Like, what are you gonna do? So I don't know. I think for them, I don't know if they're in it, and they got Haskins too that they just picked up. I think they're gonna let those 2 battle it out. I don't think they're gonna try to make any splash. That's normally not the Pittsburgh style. So I think of all the teams you name, I think they're probably gonna step fast or maybe draft another guy.
Now, and after I reel off these 3 teams that I think are likely in the market, you can tell me who I'm missing, which is probably gonna be in my maybe. But I think these 3 teams are likely in. I think the Colts are likely in.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell me on Carson Wentz. I don't know if I'd buy it. The Broncos, I think, are likely in. You've got a couple of guys, but are you really sold on that? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they're going to make a push at Aaron Rodgers. I think that's where they're headed. I think that's where the Broncos' eyes are. I hear that all the time from national people, so I think that they are in. And then the Texans. I would say they're 100% in, but it's so up in the air. I think they're likely in. Yeah. So do you agree with me on those, that there is a good chance that they are looking for additional quarterbacks at this point?
I think the Texans actually like Davis Mills. I think they're going to try to get what they can for Deshaun and build around him. I really think that. I think that the number 3 pick, they just said that today, is going to be up for other teams if they want to move up and take someone. So I think the Texans probably not. Some of the other teams you said.
Colts and Broncos.
I think the Colts are definitely going to do that. But the only thing with the Colts is I think Carson, that team's just starting to figure out what he is. I think last year was the most you'd ever get from him, which is a second and a third. And I think that second turned into a first because he played so many snaps. So I don't know if you're going to get a first or third. I think maybe 4th or 5th round pick. I don't know. I just think that market's spread. I think they're going to try to find one, but I don't know if they actually will. So I guess, yes, they'll be in the market. And then you said
Broncos.
The Broncos. Yes, the Broncos are definitely going to be in the market. I think they're going to be going after Rodgers like never before.
Okay, so that's 6 teams, including the Saints. Saints, Steelers, Washington, Colts, Broncos. You think Texans, maybe not. And then here are my maybes that you might have to fight people off for. I've got the Eagles in this list. Now, Howie Roseman says that Jalen Hurts is their starting quarterback. Now, you can say whatever you want. You can certainly say that to create leverage and try to get people to offer you more if you're trying to get rid of him. I've got them maybe. Miami. I think they're in the market for Deshaun Watson. Tua was okay down the stretch, and I use that term because they were winning, not because his production was awesome. He dumps it off a lot. It's dink and dunk. There's not a lot of stretch in the field. Thought he was okay, so they're a maybe for me. I've got the Giants. You got to kind of decide what you're going to do there. I mean, that's a maybe. The Panthers, you've gotten a year of Darnold. Where are you there? He wasn't very good, but you're going to bring in a new offensive staff. We'll see if that works. The Browns, who I think are going to stay with Baker, but I've got them as a maybe. I don't think they're necessarily going to be in. And then the Falcons have a decision to make in terms of Matt Ryan's contract. Until June the 1st, he would be $40 million in dead money to save 8.1 on the cap. After 6-1, it goes to $23 million dead. He's 36 years old. My instinct would tell me that they're going to bring him back to Atlanta, but they could decide to go in a different direction if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think for the Falcons, I think they're going to stay fast with Matt Ryan for one more year.
Yeah.
If things go terribly wrong, then you're setting yourself up to have a great draft pick. But if they go right, now you can – maybe extend him, maybe do some things, maybe try to help that offensive line, get him some more weapons. So I think the Falcons, it's not right now. They don't have a high enough draft pick right now to, I think, really attack that quarterback market. Another team you said, give me –
so Miami.
Miami, yes. I think that was a rift between Flores with them. Flores just wasn't a huge fan of Tua. He really didn't believe in him, and that kind of caused.
He throws a bunch of 4-yard passes.
Yeah, so I think for them, they're definitely going to be looking for that. I know they said the Deshaun Watson deal is dead, but Deshaun has a no trade clause, so no matter where you trade him, if he doesn't want to go there, he doesn't have to. So I think just about all the teams are still going to be on the table. I think Miami's probably one of them. So yes, I would throw Miami in that group to be in the quarterback. Giants are definitely going to be in the quarterback market. They're getting a new GM who did not, draft Daniel Jones. They did not put this roster together, so I'm sure they're going to want to have their guys. And I don't know how much you can get for Daniel Jones at this point in time, so it's looking like they may have to draft a guy. But I definitely see the Giants in the quarterback market for sure.
Panthers, Darnold.
Yeah, they just traded for him. They just gave up some picks to get him. That's the stinky part about that is you give up assets to go get a guy. Now you're going to give up more assets to get rid of them. So it's a double whammy when you make decisions and you don't, hit a home run and you strike out on it. But I do think they're in the market. I think Cam is pretty much done at this point. And then now, do you want to actually build around Sam Darnold? And then I'm also hearing McCaffrey's on the market. So they may just be in full rebuild mode, which lets you know they're going to be in the quarterback market.
So to go through that entire exercise, if you sit here and say that the Eagles are fine with Hurts and you take them out, and you say that the Browns are sticking with Baker, which we think, the Falcons stick with Matt Ryan, which we think, and if you think Davis Mills can stick around in Houston, now all of a sudden I look up and I've got the Saints in. You don't think the Steelers maybe necessarily are. Saints, Washington, Colts, Broncos, Giants. That's 5. So that's navigable if there's just 5. Now, things change if Russell Wilson moves and that opens up Seattle. You'd imagine if Rodgers leaves and goes somewhere that Jordan Love would be the Packers guy and they wouldn't be super aggressive. So you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6, 7 teams that the Saints are fishing against. Mel Kiper's first mock draft came out, and he has the Saints taking Kenny Pickett at 18.
Oof.
So that's going to be probably somewhere in the 3rd or 4th guy off the board, and depending on where you think. I mean, we saw another mock draft that had Matt Corral headed towards the Saints right there at 18. Everybody gets a little aggressive when it comes to time to play at draft time when there's quarterbacks out there that can be had. But do you think the Saints at 18 could select a quarterback for the future?
I think they could. I think that's definitely going to be on the table for them. That's something that they're going to have to get fixed, especially if you have the sustained success of a Drew Brees and you lose that. That opens up a lot of holes, man. And so I know for the Saints, they're definitely going to be trying to figure that out. And James is coming off a torn ACL, so is that something you want to do? You want to have your quarterback coming off of injury, coming into the season, and then trying to, get that rapport back with everyone? I don't know. I don't know what the Saints do. They're in a tough situation right now, but I definitely see them trying to find their future at the quarterback position. I just don't think this draft class is quarterback rich, and I would not spend a first-round pick on any quarterback coming in this class. But you may have to, and I'm sure there's going to be some teams who do jump on that and do that.
You're far better at in terms of player value, contracts, all that kind of stuff than I am, but I'm just bouncing stuff off you here. I mean, they're not going to be able to get Jameis back on another one-year deal. He's going to demand multiple years with this next contract. He's done the bet on myself thing. He's played that out. Now, he hasn't necessarily created a ton of value for himself because he didn't play 2 years ago. Taysom Hill was the guy, and then this year he got hurt. So maybe you are what you are, and you have to take what's there. But my gut tells me that he's going to demand multiple years.
I think the only thing with that, especially for Jameis, if he could have finished this season healthy and definitely, kept the same numbers he had. His numbers weren't terrible. It's not like he wasn't pushing the ball down the field, but he cut the turnovers down. He cut the interceptions down. But I think the personality stuff, I think that's going to rub some front offices the wrong way, and they're not going to be, ready. There's a reason why he was on these prove-it deals. He was on those for a reason. So I don't know if he's done enough to change that. We'll see how this free agency market bears. But I think, honestly, if I had to guess, I think he does sign another one-year deal, whether it's with the Saints or not. I don't know. But I think with the injury, with the behavior history, I think he's still in that, one-year deal kind of range.
So, and if you come in and you're Jameis's agent, you come to me and you say, okay, look, we cut the turnovers down. My immediate retort to that as an owner or GM is going to be, yeah, because you threw the ball literally the fewest times in the NFL. When you were healthy, the Saints were dead last in the NFL in attempts. And you're playing for Sean Payton, who's as good an offensive play caller as there's ever been in the league, and he doesn't trust you to throw the ball. And look, I'm playing devil's advocate with nobody here. You're just bringing up that side of the point, but it's just I think he's going to want multiple years, but yeah, if he can, he's still young enough that if he could play on a one-year deal and have a really good year, he could sign a big one coming up because they're grasping at anything they can to get quarterbacks on a roster. I mean, look at some of the money that some of these guys are making. Carson Wentz is getting paid. He's been a disaster for a couple of years. I mean, You've got guys that are hanging. So he could make a lot of money because of his talent and the production level that's been there. I just don't know if it's there right now. So it's just going to be very fascinating to see what the Saints do and who they're competing against. Again, the pie in the sky is the Russell Wilson, the Aaron Rodgers type stuff. That's, again, pie in the sky. But it's very similar to what LSU just dealt with in the hiring waters with USC, with Oklahoma, with Florida, all that. Same deal with what LSU did in the Ed Ogeron, Tom Herman cycle with the Texas. You got to get in there and compete with people, and it's interesting to see what they're going to do. If I made you put the chips down as to who the Saints starting quarterback was going to be week 1 next year, who would you say that would be?
Oh, man. I can tell you what. It's not going to be Ian Book or Trevor Siemian. I know
no,
that.
It's not.
I don't think so. Starting quarterback. Just at any point or game one?
No, the game one.
Game one starter. I'm going to go Jameis Winston for right now. I'll take the safe pick.
And that's what I always do in these situations. I just take the easiest bet. I mean, it'd be more fun to say, oh, it's going to be Malik Willis. They're going to take the Liberty guy. They're going to trade up and get – I mean, that's a little more fun radio segment. But I'm more prone to go with the chalk. And the chalk would be Jameis Winston, who's comfortable there, who has respect for Sean Payton. Obviously, they got to figure out what you're doing with Michael Thomas and get some weapons around you, and got to figure out what you're doing with Terran Armstead too at left tackle, and all that makes your sell a little bit more enticing. Jameis Winston's probably more likely to sign a one-year deal if he knows Michael Thomas is healthy and Terran Armstead is going to be the left tackle and ready to go. You have issues with those guys and have to send them out of town, injury or personality or relationship or whatever it may be. That changes the dynamic pretty quickly in New Orleans. So a lot going on with the New Orleans Saints, and that'll be something that we monitor all the way through the draft as to how the Saints are going to manage the starting quarterback spot. It's a tough one to fill, but once you do, it can be pretty fun. Shea Dixon, Go 247, going to jump aboard next, talk about recruiting, transfer portal, LSU's roster, and how this staff, brand new, assembled, now out on the road, is being handled on in living rooms with recruits. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
The edition of Early Line as we preview LSU basketball's matchup against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and we look ahead to divisional round action in the NFL playoffs. Tune in 2 to 3 p.m. Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Everyday Citizens Bank brings you the poll of the day. Today's poll triggered off the segment from the open of this hour. Who will be the Saints starting quarterback in the opener in 2022? Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Russell Wilson, or a draft choice? Go to Twitter. You can find the 1045 ESPN tweet and vote. We will get you caught up on the results at the end of the show. We now bring on Shay Dixon, Go 247. Shay, you want to vote in that poll? Who's the Saints signal caller going to be to start next year?
I don't see how Taysom's getting a vote. It's Jameis, right?
Yeah, I mean that would be my thought, but we had to get it to 4, so we figured we'd throw Taysom in there. Plus, it says in his contract if he's the starting quarterback, he gets a lot of money.
Yes, this is where we pick Matt Corral and say he's going to be a day one starter.
Hey, we just saw Mel Kiper's mock draft had Kenny Pickett going to the Saints at number 18, so we shall see.
I haven't watched a bunch of Kenny Pickett film. I can't comment.
Not a big Pitt Panthers guy?
Hadn't seen him.
All right, let's talk about Brian Kelly's program. Obviously, recruiting full steam ahead. The staff has been assembled. They've been working in the transfer portal really hard, but there are some high school prospects that they've got their eyes on as well. First of all, it's kind of a big picture question. Now that this staff is assembled and is out doing some work recruiting, what kind of recruiting staff has he put together?
Well, we'll see over time there. I think it's a nice blend of younger guys as well. I mean, you look at Steeples, who's 32 years old. Joe Sloan's in his mid-30s. Jamar Kane is a younger coach. I guess I could go up and down the list. But then you've got experience, too. Frank Wilson does it as good as anybody in the business, and especially in Louisiana. So I like kind of that mix. I think that's a healthy blend to have. And when you're recruiting, to sort of have veteran people that can go in home, but also guys on staff that are younger and can relate to kids nowadays. And look, I think we're going to find out sooner than later, maybe kind of more so in the spring, of we get a feel for where these coaches kind of recruiting at. And obviously Louisiana is going to be their bread and butter, but they've got a couple of coaches on staff who have a lot of ties in the St. Louis area, and that's an area that produces a lot of talent. And then you look into whether it's getting back into Houston or getting into the border states, or do you have connections in Georgia or Florida at some of these high schools with coaches on staff? I think that's what we'll learn over the next kind of 6 months, and then that'll give us a good gauge of, okay, are they kind of really pulling kids from pockets, whether it's, like I said, are you loading up on Houston and Louisiana and some kids out of St. Louis, and or sort of what's the approach? I'll be interested to see, but at the end of the day, the fact remains the state of Louisiana and certainly the states that sort of border it and touch it, namely Mississippi and Texas, are going to be the bread and butter.
It looks like by my count 8 spots left in this class. Correct me if that sounds wrong, but
that's correct.
Okay, there you go. What positions are we looking at specifically that they certainly have to nail down 1 or 2 guys here?
I think this is where they're kind of resetting the board, right? Okay, so you just picked up I think they're at 11 total transfers now, and that doesn't even include Brennan, who withdrew his name from the portal and came back. So you've got 13 high school signees, you've got 11 new guys you've added from the transfer portal, and now you've gone past the NFL deadline for declaring. So you've got very real grip on who's going to be on the team moving forward, who's going to the pros, who's already left for the portal. And now you can kind of get a feel for, all right, what are the real needs? And look, high school-wise, I'd circle about 7 guys that they're still after. And signing day is 2 weeks from today. So whether it's a position need or you just want them, Jacoby Matthews, safety, a running back in Trevante Citizen. They don't have one currently committed out of the high school ranks. You look at tight end, which I think is one of their biggest needs. And Danny Lewis out of Westgate is still a high school target that's out there. Wide receiver, they offered a new receiver today, actually out of Texas, and they've got a couple of receivers offers out there, actually both to kids in Texas who are going to visit on the final weekend before the dead period ends, right before signing day gets here. So you can get a sense that even though they've got Dre Jenkins back and they've added Kyron Lacey, that I think that's really 7 guys, maybe 8. So they want to add another guy there. I think they're in a lot better spot than they were previously on the O-line. Right now, with 8 spots still to go, would I be surprised if they added another O-lineman? No. But I think adding Tremont Shorts and Miles Frazier gives you 2 guys who, you're getting wire back. You've got a lot of other young guys that you're excited to see develop under Brad Davis. So it seems like they've built out at least a 2 deep there, and they're starting to get what the starters would be. But no, I'd circle back to tight end, maybe O-line, and then probably corner, which is just because they got hit so far, hard by it, that in terms of returning, we're going to be on roster last year. That'll be on roster this year at corner. I know they have addressed it a little bit in the portal, and they added a couple corner commits in December signees, but I won't be surprised if they go after another corner at some point.
2 named Tiger fans are really excited for on their decisions, Trevante Citizen and Jacoby Matthews. Are they any closer, you think, to making their decision, or do you think it's probably going to be a national signing day type thing?
Yeah, I think it's National Signing Day for both of them, and really every day, I guess, technically gets closer. They're 14 days out from having to decide. I'll start with Matthews. I think with Matthews that they've gotten Frank Wilson in there. They've gotten the new staff in there. You know, you've got your entire staff now in place. Obviously, Matt House is still with the Chiefs, the D coordinator, but when their playoff run ends, he'll join. But I think with Matthews, you've seen Frank Wilson, those guys go in-home now. He had gone from unsure if he was going to visit to LSU to now he's visiting on that final weekend before signing day. You still got Brian Kelly's in-home visit. I think he goes to Florida this weekend. Billy Napier and that staff obviously have some real familiarity with him. And Corey Raymond, for instance, was at Ponchatoula this week recruiting him. So you're battling there. He's been high on A&M, but I just think looking at that last visit to LSU, him being their top target, sort of, for me at least, points towards LSU being the team to beat. Citizen, who's certainly the other top prospect in the state, that's got an offer and hadn't decided in terms of how long they've been recruiting them. I know Danny Lewis jumped in the mix there with an offer at tight end, but Citizen was committed to LSU before. So was Jacoby Matthews. But with Citizen, I mean, shoot, we're 14 days out. We're a couple of days removed from him dropping a top 8, and then he now keeps mixing up his visits. I think he's set in stone now, coming off an Auburn visit into LSU this weekend, and then he'll be at Florida midweek next week, and then he'll wrap things up with a Miami official visit. So as you can kind of see, fitting 5 schools into the span of about 16, 17 days is a lot. I think he's probably still undecided, but that one's going to take LSU really having a big weekend this weekend. And as a running backs coach, Frank Wilson will have to close strong there. I just think that when he decommitted from LSU in December, it seemed like he was leaning towards Auburn and other schools would come into the mix. I think LSU's got a battle on their hands there.
You mentioned something there when you're talking about Jacoby Matthews that I wanted to ask you about, so I'll just get to it now because I didn't realize that even Florida was in the picture there. I thought it was an A&M deal. But with Billy Napier going to Florida and having Jabbar Jalouk on staff and having Corey Raymond on staff, Florida has never had any sustained success recruiting Louisiana. The only guy I can remember is Jared Willis going there, and he ended up getting kicked off the team. So do you anticipate over the next 5 years that Florida will have success recruiting Louisiana and being involved with guys that LSU wants?
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, both staffs sort of were new to the game, so it's not really, they didn't get anybody yet. But what happens when they sink their teeth in, and that might be the 2023 class. But I will say that down the stretch here, you mentioned Citizen is someone LSU still hard after. Obviously, that's a Florida battle, or they're in it. The kid they offered today, I was going to visit a wide receiver out of Texas who will be in town on that last weekend before signing day. His other big offer that he's down to is Florida. Danny Lewis, the tight end out of New Iberia, out of Westgate, is a guy that staff knows, obviously, from recruiting him at UL. He's been committed to Cincinnati. But Corey Raymond has ties down there. So even battling for a tight end right now out of Westgate, it's an LSU-Florida battle with those two getting visits. And Harold Perkins just came off his Florida visit and is now going up against LSU, obviously. So, and then Jacoby Matthews. So it's like pretty much everyone minus 1 or 2 guys at LSU still recruiting in high school. There are other top 2 or 3 schools Florida now. Not all of them are Louisiana guys. It's just kind of, I think both schools are still trying to have to recruit some high school kids late due to coaching changes and the staff shakeup. But down the stretch here, we'll see the 2 staffs battle. I think if you're circling kind of who to watch for, it would be Citizen and Matthews in terms of Louisiana guys. I'd go back to, and we'll see what happens in 23, and they've got some connections on that staff from Napier to Sale to Jalouk and down the line that, know Louisiana well, but you said it to lead off. They've had a lot of staffs that have had connections in Louisiana. It wasn't this many, but they didn't have any sort of sustained success. And I think right now for Florida, recruiting Florida is going to be as important as anything. So I'm not sure how much time they're really going to be able to spend in Louisiana other than picking, a handful of guys each cycle that they say, these are the guys we want. We're going to go after until the end.
According to 247 Sports, LSU Tigers #1 in the rankings for the transfer portal. Did you expect Coach Kelly and this staff to do that type of work, especially this early on in their period?
I did, and they're #1, and also sort of, I would say, kind of by default, they have 11 transfers. Everybody else hasn't taken that many. I think there's only a couple schools out there that have taken more than 11, but my bet would be that with 8 spots left, that they'll end up taking more transfers than any college football team in the country. Now, am I surprised by that? Am I, sounding the alarm? know, I was sounding the alarm when they showed up to a bowl game with a wide receiver at quarterback and 39 scholarship players. Like this was fully expected for me. And they signed 13 high school guys in December, so you really weren't beefing up the numbers in a huge way there. You know, typically they would have probably signed 20-something guys during December's early signing period. So it's sort of, I don't think they're done yet, and it's not a long-term solution to building a program. And I say that knowing that we're moving into a new world of transfers where they get immediately eligible. I've kind of always operated under that train of thought, and certainly college coaches have of, you just can't do what Ole Miss was doing for a stretch 10 years ago, where we'll just take nonstop, transfers and JUCO players, and really you want to be able to develop and recruit high school guys, and that's what Brian Kelly. One thing he's certainly a feather in his cap over the course of his career has been development. But I think right now he's having to really balance. Okay, let's develop guys we need to win some games. We need to be competitive, and we're not going to be able to be competitive if we're not loading up on as many transfers as we can to try to shore up a lot of the deficiencies on roster and spots like quarterback where you only have two guys coming back. So not shocked. I think they'll certainly, whether you want to print the shirts or the cups or whatever they do, print them early. LSU will be transfer portal champions. It's just a matter of how many more guys they decide to add. Hunt's loving this.
You got to. Shea Dixon, go 247 signing days in 2 weeks. No better spot to drop by than there. You can follow on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Shea D. Nobody better in the recruiting game. We'll take a timeout. Come back. Some more NFL talk. I've got an inclination of what may be going on here in the next 3 weeks, and want to get Jeremy's thoughts on it. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
BrakeMet is the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Hump Day AFR presented by Plucker. Sean Salisbury joins us to talk some NFL playoffs. We'll preview LSU's road trip to Alabama. Join us for Wednesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Their instructor is speaking.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, Jeremy, I want your thoughts on this, and certainly you played through this, so it's something that I'm very excited to get your thoughts on. We just went through a 15-year run of the most prolific passing area in the history of college football. I mean, of NFL football. It was Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Roethlisberger. Aaron Rodgers, a little bit younger than those guys, but in that, I mean, you're talking about an era where 7 of the top 10 all-time in career passing yards have played. Now, it's because of the game and how it's evolved, and it's not what it used to be. But those guys are essentially on the way out. Peyton Manning's gone, Drew Brees is gone, Phillip Rivers is gone, Ben Roethlisberger is now gone. Brady's a cyborg, so we'll see about that. But those guys are kind of on their way out. And you're looking at the young quarterbacks and saying, okay, can we replicate that era? Can we bring it back to that? And you've got still in these playoffs Patrick Mahomes, who we think is very much going to be in that class and on track to be one of the great quarterbacks in the league's history. Josh Allen has certainly a ton of talent, is putting up a lot of production, winning a lot of games. I can't stop hearing about Joe Burrow on national radio and on ESPN. He's got a chance to make a huge statement over the next couple of weeks to kind of announce his presence. And then obviously Lamar Jackson has won an MVP. Kyler Murray is really exciting. We love the way Justin Herbert has produced over in San Diego. Do we have the ability to replicate that era that I just went through? You played against all these guys. Can we? I mean, Russell Wilson's a little bit of a tweener there, so he's not really quite there, and Rodgers is a little bit younger. But can we replicate the era that we saw over the last 15 years?
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to surpass. For one reason, you got an extra game, so naturally it's going to surpass it. But I think for me, just the era that it's been now, the 7-on-7 era, they didn't have that in the 90s and not to the level that it is now. These Elite 11 camps, kids are getting their own quarterback coaches. They're working with Tom House and some of the better coaches, Whitfield, some of these other guys that really train these quarterbacks. So they're not only, working on their skills and their craft at a young age, they're also learning the game. I think now at the Combines, a lot of these kids, they're going up on the boards, they're drawing up the plays, they know it in and out. And I think the NFL game is starting to become more like the college games, which you see at some of these offenses. So it's really going to be a lot easier for these kids to make that transition where it used to be, everyone is under center in the NFL. You're running, I formation, pro style offense. Now everything's kind of going to that spread world, and that's exactly what all these kids have been doing since they were, 14, 15 years old. So I definitely think it's got to be a lot more passing yards. I think especially when you look at you can't hit the quarterbacks, you can't hit the receivers in the head. It's got to be a lot more.
All right, let's have a ridiculous conversation. Ready for this?
Yes.
Brady's going to the Hall of Fame. Peyton's going to the Hall of Fame. Brees is going to the Hall of Fame. I think Rivers is going to the Hall of Fame. Roethlisberger's going to the Hall of Fame. Rodgers is going to the Hall of Fame. Eli, maybe goes to the Hall of Fame there. That's 7 from this era right there.
Mm-hmm.
can we get some guys into the Hall of Fame from this era? Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hebert, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. Is Russell Wilson, he's a tweener. But can we, I mean, that's what I'm talking about here in terms of an era. These are the guys that are ushering it in. Obviously, we can go a little bit further, and there'll be a couple of guys who come in over the next 4 years and make splashes that you can toss into the ring with Burrow and Herbert and Kyler, these younger guys. But, I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation, but it's what radio's for. I mean, this was the golden era of quarterback play because of the talent that these guys had and the rules of the game. And these guys are playing by those rules now, and there's some super talented dudes.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I think with the quarterbacks, I think if you're talking about receivers, running backs, some other stuff, I'd be, that's tough. But quarterbacks, they're going to be the first ones getting the vote ahead because they just get so much credit. You do everything with your quarterback. They touch the ball every single play. And now with the rules the way they are, I saw Tom get hit in the side, and they threw a 15-yard penalty on that. It was nowhere near his legs, and they still threw the flag. So if that's how you're going to call this thing going forward and just the way these offensive minds have gone with all the innovative play callers we have in this league, I definitely think there could be more than 7 or 8 Hall of Famers from this era. When you pile up all their passing touchdowns, all their stats, everything that they've done, and then the injuries that they probably, if they can stay healthy and avoid, but because they're not taking the big hits, I definitely see 7 or 8 definitely being possible.
Now, we unfairly toss wins and Super Bowls, most specifically, at the feet of quarterbacks, and that determines their legacy. That's just the way that it goes. It's why the conversation goes the way it does with Eli, and then you have to figure something else on the other end for Phillip Rivers, who he got to one AFC Championship game. But if you look at the quarterbacks who are left in these playoffs, who has the ability to change their legacy the most over the next 4 weeks? I'll give you you know them, but it's Burrow. It's Burrow, it's Tannehill, it's Garoppolo, it's Rodgers, it's Stafford, it's Brady, it's Allen, it's Mahomes.
I'm going to go Tannehill. I think if Tannehill finds a way to get this Titans football team to a Super Bowl, people are going to be looking at him a lot differently than they have before, especially being a guy that used to play the receiver position and now is playing quarterback. But you got Derrick Henry. If he can find a way to get this team to a Super Bowl, I think he definitely changed the way people view him across the country. I think Joe Burrow's getting a lot of love now. People are loving what they're seeing from Joe Burrow. Tom is Tom. Aaron already has a Super Bowl. I think some of these other guys, Mahomes has a Super Bowl. We all know what Mahomes is. So I think for me, Tannehill could probably do the most work in changing how people view him.
I think Tannehill would go right in the bucket with Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson, who are maligned as if they can win a Super Bowl, anybody can win a Super Bowl. But I think they would toss him in there. I mean, I don't know if Nick Foles is in that boat or not, but I think that's where he would go. And I think they would say, look at that defense, look at the running game they had. It wasn't necessarily him. I think the answer for me is a slam dunk here in terms of legacy changers. This guy that I'm going to say has been a compiler of statistics, a super talent, a number 1 pick, but no one's really thought anything of him because he's never won a playoff game. Matt Stafford goes to L.A. and wins a Super Bowl immediately. All of a sudden you go, well, they just wasted him in Detroit, and he would have been one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived if he'd have been in the same offense as some of these. If he'd have been with Sean Payton for 15 years like Drew Brees, he'd have put up the great. And I think the narrative totally changes if he gets with an offensive-minded head coach, gets 2 all Pro Bowl receivers, and wins the Super Bowl. The narrative totally changes. That guy threw for 5,000 yards, but they lost 14 games, and they were terrible. To, whoa, he was just being wasted. The Lions ruined him. You give him 1 chance, and he wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would agree. That's my Super Bowl pick, so I wasn't trying to jinx it. But, I definitely agree with that take. Stafford is definitely taking some lumps, especially talking they had a graphic up on the screen. He's been responsible for 2 of the greatest receiving seasons ever in Calvin Johnson and now Cooper Kupp. You got a guy, getting receivers those type of numbers with no playoff successes. It kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. But I still believe in my Rams. I got some work to do here, but I definitely see Stafford playing well throughout these playoffs.
And you can certainly make the effort. When you win your second one, which is what Rodgers would do, what Mahomes would do, that certainly elevates you to out of that tier of the guys who, it happened once. This is, we sustained it and we were able to do it again. That's the fight that Paul Maneri always fought, and I was pulling for him so hard to get that second one because you don't need any validation from anybody when you win a national championship. There's no doubt about that. You win a national championship, that is to be celebrated for sure. You win a second one, all of a sudden, that really puts a stamp on top of it. So that's kind of what these 2 guys are looking at. And then the last guy to kind of toss in the ring here, if Garoppolo wins the Super Bowl, what do they do with Trey Lance? Can you move on? I mean, I know the Eagles, they kind of looked around and they're like, Bulls, we get you out of here. We'll go with Wentz. It certainly creates a bit of a discussion.
Yeah, I think especially when you spend the amount of draft capital they spent to move up and take a Trey Lance, and then now Jimmy G's having the success he's having, winning another playoff game makes it tough, man. Makes it tough for your front office. But I think if he does somehow win a Super Bowl, I think you just place that franchise tag. You slap that on him for a season, see how he does, and if he plays well again, then I think you're gonna have to be looking to shop some Trey Lance around. Jimmy G's still young; he's not in his deep 30s yet, so he still has some years ahead of him. But yeah, Jimmy G finds a way to go win a Super Bowl. But the thing about that is, I'm gonna have to go with your take here. I think you gotta lump that into that Trent Dilfer, because they're just running the crap out of the ball just every chance they get. And I think Kyle Shanahan's gonna take a lot of that credit, especially just the way he calls plays and the way they run the ball. So I don't know how much praise Jimmy G will get unless he goes and wins the Super Bowl MVP. But I just don't see that happen. I think that'd be Deebo Samuel, probably one of their running backs.
We shall see. We'll come back, close out a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Look, I know paying for your service to your vehicle sucks sometimes. Brake Medics has got some awesome prices, and now add on to those awesome prices, they've got some financing options, 6 months, same as cash financing with 0 down at Brake Medics. That's brake repair anywhere. They can repair brakes on most vehicles for just $229 for a single axle. Front and rear, $449, and all that work always comes with a 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty. You got to give them the opportunity to service your brakes at your home, at your office. Let Brake Medics do it.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to BrakeMedics.com for your free quote today. You log into their website, you fill out the make, year, and model of your vehicle, and whatever brake symptoms your vehicle may be dealing with at the time, they'll have all those options right there on the website for you to punch in, and then you put your name, email, and phone number, and BrakeMedics.com will get back to you with a free quote today.
Just getting work done is such a pain. When Brake Medics does your work on your car, no catching rides, no waiting in waiting rooms, no dealing with traffic, no wasted mornings, no wasted afternoons sitting around. Brake Medics, it's efficient, it's quick, it's great, it's affordable, and now they got that financing options. Give Brake Medics a shot. Just go to BrakeMedics.com and go submit for that free quote and set an appointment for them. Brake Medics, we make house calls.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Want to see your healthcare provider without leaving?
What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Wednesday night edition. We're live at Clark Crane Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on US 61 in St. Francisville. LSU and Bama, companion in-game wagering. Game time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Citizens Bank brings you the poll of the day every single day here on Hunt and Hill. Today we ask, who will the Saints starting quarterback be for the opener next year? Taysom Hill, 2.6% of the vote. Draft choice, 10.5% of the vote. Russell Wilson, 24% of the vote. And Jameis Winston is your winner. 63% say Jameis Winston going to be the quarterback of the Saints next year. Dare to dream, Russell Wilson voters, 23% on that one. Let's finish things up with take it or leave it. I'll crank it up. Dak Prescott apologized for his comments about fans throwing debris at officials after the Cowboys lost at AT&T Stadium on Sunday to the 49ers. Is that the right move? Take it or leave it?
I'll take it, man. Look, we got to get these Cowboys from doing Cowboyish things. Taylor Shaw, what are we going to do about this, man? Like, you guys are calling out referees, getting fans to incite violence against these poor people. Like, come on, man. We got to do something about that. But Dak, it was the right time. You know, get people to stop thinking about the mess that the Cowboys made in the playoffs. And hopefully it can be them boys next year, but it's probably not looking like that. All right. All right. Free agent shortstop, Carlos Correa. He hired Scott Boras to represent him.
Great.
Taking or leaving. The Cubs are having a shot at the shortstop.
A shot? Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
I'll take it.
I mean, Boras, that's what you do. Correa hits the free agent market. Scott Boras gets a phone call. Certainly, I believe in my heart that the Cubs have that Jed Hoyer has Scott Boras' phone number. I think they can work something out. Is that going to happen for $330 million? Probably not. So we shall see. I'm not too optimistic about that, but I'm certainly hopeful that the Cubs can make it work. Seahawks fired their longtime defensive coordinator, Ken Norton, after they missed the playoffs again this year. Seahawks front office is going to start a rebuild. Take that or leave it.
I'll take it, man.
Yeah.
I'll take it. It's looking like that, especially if Russell Wilson leaves town. That roster just doesn't look very good, man, especially on the defensive side. Then they package all their first-round picks to get my boy Jamal Adams in town. It's looking like that, man. It's looking like a rebuild. The only thing I can see them maybe doing is they can get a quarterback back for Russell Wilson and maybe a first-round pick with it, and then maybe you can do something kind of like the Lions did, but we see what the Lions are looking like right now. It just is not a good scene. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks are definitely rebuilding. All right, my boy Nick Bonito of the OU Sooners said OU players were clowns for talking trash about the OU coaches. Now some of them are hitting the portal and leaving to join them at USC. Are you taking this as clownish behavior to leave Norman, Oklahoma, and join Lincoln and SoCal?
Well, I'll leave that it's clownish behavior to do that. It's not the greatest look if you clown the coaching staff for leaving and then you go do the same thing. That's not a great look, but it's obviously this day and age in college football. Coaches have always bounced around, and now the players are doing it just the same. So, yeah, you can't knock it and then do it. If you want to make fun of them and then stay in Oklahoma, I've got you. But if you can't do both. That's not how it works.
All right, last one here. The LSU basketball team, they're ranked at 8 in the net as of today, with Kentucky and Auburn being also ranked in the top 10. Are you taking or leaving? The Tigers hold serve in the top 10 after their next 2 games.
I'll take it. They just have to win one to do that. I think they'll move up if they win, especially either one. If they win either game, it'll be quad one. It'll be a really nice win for them. And I think they'll move up a little bit, and then the fall wouldn't be as bad. Or if they lose tonight and then go on the road Saturday and beat Tennessee. And I think they will win one of the 2 games. I probably feel better about Saturday's game, honestly. Tonight could be a buzzsaw. It has that feeling. Alabama's just shot it so poorly. They've played so badly hopefully that bad defense does show up again tonight, and LSU is able to score. But without your best scoring option, the way LSU struggled to score only 60 points per game in SEC play, just feels like Alabama, the amount of threes they're going to shoot is going to make things tough on LSU. But we'll see. You haven't gotten your pick on that game, so why don't you fire away and tell me what you think about Tigers and Tide tonight from Coleman.
I took my Tigers last weekend. Didn't go too well for me, but you know what? I'm back again.
I'm sure
Tigers. Let's go.
Sure
Let's do it. Let's go back. Let's go win this thing. Yeah. Feeling Will Wade and the crew. And I think they get it done. And it's going to be a close one. I don't think they're just going to run them off the floor and shoot 23s or make 10 of them. I think it's going to be a real tight game. And I think it's really going to be turning over their point guards. I think their point guards are going to run into a little turnover trouble tonight. That defense of LSU is probably going to shock them. I haven't seen anything like it all year. So taking the Tigers.
If you looking for an in-depth breakdown of LSU and Alabama hoops with Hunt on the Guarantee Podcast Network, you can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on my Twitter account at HuntPalmer88. Find it on 1045ESPN.com, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Hoops with Hunt is there every single weekday morning, and I've got a big in-depth breakdown of the Tigers and the Tide tonight from Coleman. We also led the show with that, so you can go back and check that out at noon. Tony Tsoukalos, who covers Alabama for SI and Bama Country, he was on at 12:30. You can check that interview out as well on demand, 1045ESPN.com or on YouTube. Remember Ron Franklin at the end of hour number 1, who passed away, certainly a huge presence in the college football world for ESPN. We explored the QB market and legacies of quarterbacks in hour number 2, and Shea Dixon came aboard at 1:15 to talk recruiting. So if you missed any or all of it, YouTube or on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Matt's going to drive you home 3 to 6 on AFR. Jimmy Ott's Game Time at 6 to 8. Mario and Musso with your early line coming up next. That is Casey. That's Taylor. I am Hunt. That's Jeremy. We will see you tomorrow.